The trackflation done hit the 7 and 8-year-olds now.
15-year-old non-melanated white boys jogging 10.05
I mean, what the hell is happening
in the
to
100.
trackers?
Not to mention he's stealing girls while doing a
I'm tired of being played like a violin.
The term trackflation refers to a growing phenomenon in track and field, especially at the high school level, where athletes are running significantly faster times at increasingly younger ages, much like economic inflation, where the value of currency decreases as more enters circulation. Trackflation suggests that fast times are becoming so common that they've lost some of their weight and meaning. To be clear, this video is not a critique of athletes who perform well. The goal of the sport is to run fast and will always be to run fast. No athlete should be blamed or coach should be blamed for doing exactly what they've been trained to do, which is to perform. Competition is a natural part of any sport, and especially this one, and those who can't keep up will be left behind. That's just simply how the game works. In many ways, trackflation is a natural and even positive development in a sport. It creates better races, more intense competition, and greater entertainment value for fans. The problem lies not with the athletes themselves, but the content creators, media outlets, and online commentators in the way they use trackflation as a tool for engagement. And as a result, their coverage often leads and creates an unrealistic glorification of early success. It fosters toxic comparison that discourages developing athletes, and it shifts the focus of the sport from pursuing long-term growth and a love for training to chasing quick fixes and fleeting moments of instant gratification. High school national meets are some of, if not the fastest high school track events in the country. And today we're going to use New Balance Nationals to show how track media influencers can distort your perception of what's normal for a high school athlete to be running. New Balance Outdoor Nationals this year was hosted in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at Franklin Field, and it stands as one of the premier high school track and field championships in the United States. Athletes from all over the country show up to compete, and the meet regularly showcases some of the best young talent in America. But today specifically, we're going to look at the boys 400 as an example. New Balance often posts the top heats of their events on their YouTube channel, and the 400 was no exception from that. The top 8 finishers got highlighted in the video and across social media, and especially the winner. In this case, Quincy Wilson ran an insane 45:37, a time that's so crazy it dad would have placed you second at the NCAA D1 Outdoor Nationals this year. What's even crazier is that you would have had to run 47.6 just to come in last place in that race. Then you go check the results and you see a lot of these guys are your age and even faster or even younger than you, and they're running way faster than you. But here's what's typically overlooked. There were 15 heats of the boys 400. If every heat was full that day, that's 120 athletes, and yet only 8 were posted. The other 112 athletes, the majority, are not shown, their times aren't reposted, and their faces don't hit headlines. What the world sees is a polished version of the nation's best 8 400 runners at that nationals meet. But this is not the standard. It's a collective of the nation's top runners spat out at the audience's face and then labeled normal. I like to look at it how like things were during COVID, where you would look on your TV or your feed and it would genuinely feel like the world was ending. But when you went outside, the sun was shining, it was quiet, and it was just mainly peaceful. Like most people's real life perception of outside during that time was almost like a polar opposite to what was going on their feed and on TV. And it's the same deal with this. You almost have two different worlds, where you have the online kind of realm of track, and then you have actually going on in real life in your district in track. So when you're constantly comparing yourself to those captions and those videos, it can really mess with your perspective sometimes, and it's vastly different from what you see in real life depending where you are. Because I'll admit, in some places it's really bad, like really bad, but it all kind of makes you forget that most of the guys in your state, city, or even your region are not running 45s, 46s, or 47s, or sometimes even sub 50. It can cause people to kind of forget that the internet is probably the most exaggerated version of reality we have access to compared to real life. So back to nationals. This is a national showcase, and by definition, it's made up of the very best in America. It's not supposed to reflect the average. It's meant to celebrate the outliers. And I'm not gonna lie, 89% of this field ran sub 50, but that's the point. It's a group of the nation's top guys. If you compared every 400 race run at these high school meets across the US in a single season to the top 3 national meets, the difference would be like crazy. It'd be obvious. Most athletes are not hitting these numbers. This isn't about discrediting greatness, because these kids are great. These kids are amazing. It's about putting greatness into perspective. Nationals shows us what's possible and where we're at as a country to me, but it does not define what is normal. And for young athletes watching from afar, that difference matters more than they realize. The media doesn't just make athletes feel behind, but also affects those who are being watched by it. It places immense pressure on young athletes, many of which are still emotionally developing. All these child prodigies we end up seeing are often celebrated early, only to later be burnt out, suffer from injuries, mental health struggles, or just fall out of love for the sport entirely. What used to be pressure reserved for professionals like collegiate and pro athletes only is now being pushed on to teenagers or even younger, who are told by cameras and coaches and comment sections that they're going to be special. And while this encouragement can be powerful, it can also become a curse, a weight on your chest, and a burden of expectation that leaves no room for failure, loss, or imperfection. With every race or performance, someone is waiting for them to slip, ready to flip the narrative and say they fell off, or like they're no longer the guy. And it's crazy because the same people that praised you when you were younger and when you were coming up in high school will be the ones to profit off posting your downfall. It creates this toxic cycle where young athletes feel like they constantly have something to prove. Viewers often project their own insecurities onto these athletes, rooting from their own failures in order to feel normal about themselves. This can't be normal, they'll say. That this is not, like, they'll say to themselves, I'll even find myself thinking when I see these things, like, there's no way that this is sustainable. The current obsession with these headlines and highlight reels kind of masks the fact that true greatness is built slowly. Both the ones watching and the ones being watched suffer and are both left to feel that whether they can or cannot perform to this impossible standard, that it'll never be enough. Now, some are going to argue against me saying it's propaganda and argue that it's the competitive nature of the sport and that, like, it's just the way it is. And I'm like, okay, it is real. Yes, I 100% agree. Trackflation is real, though not to the severity that creators will make it seem like it is, and the nature of it is deeply exaggerated by the community. I may be missing something, but I feel there's 3 reasons that trackflation is real. And number 1 is because more people are running track. It's statistically proven that since 2015, there's been an increase in people running track, more people running, more competition to win races, and also more people to challenge a record. It's naturally going to get faster. And number 2, better equipment. They got better shoes. That's self-explanatory. Better, and modern tracks are always built with material to secure better energy return. That's leading to faster times. And number 3, modern training has evolved so much, just like modern medicine has. The training is more efficient, therefore the kids are running faster. So people are clearly running faster, and that is good for the sport. So what is the problem with this phenomenon of trackflation on the internet? And it lies more in the hands of the people who fill the minds of the athletes and the fans, which is the creators. The narrative pushed especially by creators and the track community itself is often through humor. It's not meant to be taken serious, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it is, or that I haven't laughed at a couple of these videos myself, but we still need to talk about the nature of these posts. The infamous caption typically seen with these posts is "time to hang up the spikes" quote, usually paired with a clip of a crazy performance like that 7th grade girl that just ran 51, because how does that even happen? But it's supposed to be funny, and most of the time, I'm not gonna lie, it is. And it plants a seed in your mind though. You watch it, and after you scroll a little bit, you're just kind of left thinking, it's like, damn, like there really are levels to this, like what am I doing? And every time you see it, it makes you think a little bit more. The content on our timeline shapes the way we think, and if you follow a lot of track creators who only highlight extreme outliers, you're gonna start to feel like you're not doing enough. And you may be doing what you can, but it's because the world keeps telling you that you're not. If a young athlete scrolls and sees a video of a kid their age running a 4:10 mile and he hasn't even broken 6 yet, or like sub 9 2-mile, they start to internalize that idea that anything slower than that just isn't fast, and that their PRs don't deserve to be celebrated, which isn't true, and that if they're not already elite, they may as well not even try. It all kind of to a bigger problem in modern society, which is that everybody's life is golden on camera. If it's the person who makes their highlights and their IG look like they travel the world every day on a day-to-day basis, but they be in class with you on the same time every single day, just like another kid in high school, you're not showing me the truth. You're showing me 5% of it. You're showing me the cream of the crop of what your life looks like and pretending like that's the standard, that's the normal, and it's the same deal here. Track and field is in a much faster and much more competitive place than it was years ago, and that's a good thing. But the whole trackflation narrative is not good for a generation that already doesn't like to try. The content shames the process. It makes you feel stupid for even trying because this kid 4 years younger than you just ran faster than you. Being passionate about small wins and celebrating wins just makes you look stupid. It makes you question why you even started. Just hang up the spikes. We're so cooked. Are meant to be jokes, and they're funny sometimes, but the underlying message is loud and clear, and it's to just quit, just hang up the spikes, like they say. And I'll admit, I'm a hypocrite. Like I said, I laugh at these videos, but they're not good for the sport, the growth of the sport. If the people that want to get into it are starting and watching and are feeling like people are already too far ahead, it's discouraging. And we've lost the plot. We've lost the most important thing of this, which is the struggle, which is becoming, getting better. The struggle of laughing with your teammates, to compete, to lose, to win, whatever is the process of becoming. If it takes the focus off of your path, your progress, and your training, it's probably not worth your attention. Plant your feet where they are. Take it one step at a time, because that's really all we can do. Focus on what you can control and let go of the rest.